Boom, how's it going, everybody? It's your boy Deshaun, otherwise known as the Quadratic Jelly Consumer, but you guys can just call me Zabu. Is that funny to you? The Quadratic Jelly Consumer? Okay, you're nerfed. Anyway, welcome to the podcast, everybody. It's been a hot minute. Obviously, we have just some big topics to talk about real quick, so I hope you guys are ready for a good podcast. I can't wait. We have some music to talk about. We obviously have something in the sports world to talk about with the NBA, and I was going to also talk about a video game I've been playing lately, or at least I played once, and my first impressions on it, and how I think it's going to turn out when some other thing. We're just going to be talking about stuff, so let's just get into it, okay? Hey, so first on the list of things on this podcast, I wanted to talk about the new Ninja Turtle game that just came out, Shredder's Revenge. It's like a classic 8-bit video game that is really reminiscent to anybody who really reminiscent to the arcade games to anybody who's gone to any arcade like Scandia or whatever your local arcade is called. You know, there's always that, like, there's the Simpsons game machine where there's like 4 like joysticks and buttons so 4 people can play, and then there's always the Ninja Turtle one, and this one is very reminiscent to that. And of course I bought it. It's only like $25. I highly recommend anybody to buy it, especially if you have multiple people in your house. I think it's a really great game. I played it just myself and my girlfriend over there, and we had a ball with it. It was just so much fun, just kind of casually playing. Just a cool little game, you know. It wasn't anything too crazy. It was just fun to run around beating stuff up. There's combos you can use and whatnot. But I just wanted to let you guys know I'm going to be making videos on it coming up soon. I do have a guest who's going to be coming on and playing it with me. Although I was also thinking about possibly adding more than one guest. You can play up to 6 players on it, so I'm thinking I might have more than that on there. But yeah, for the most part, I've been enjoying it so much. And then also in December, I think they're making another like Ninja Turtle game where it's like all those old school classic arcade games all in one. It's like 13 games, they said. So it'll kind of be like that Street Fighter collection they had out like on the Switch and stuff is what I have it on, where it's like all kinds of old Street Fighter games, and it's really fun. So yeah, I can't wait to make some videos on that for you guys. Ninja Turtles is just, like, to me, a really fun and enjoyable franchise. I don't know if any of you... I'm sure a lot of you guys saw the newer movies that came out, like the Michael Bay movies. I think he's the one who directed it, or whatever. But my favorites were the old 80s ones, like The Secret of the Ooze and stuff like that. I really love those, and I love Ninja Turtles in general. So... I don't know, if any of you guys are looking for a fun little arcade game to play it, or if you have played it, or whatever, let me know what you think about it down in the comments. I just really wanted to give it its flowers, I guess, because I think it's really cool that they're doing a new game in that same arcade 8-bit way, with the right music and sound effects and all that stuff. I had a blast playing it, so, yeah, good times. Good times. Now... let's get into the music side of this, because this is going to be a quick podcast, because I didn't want to get too much into a bunch of different things. I kind of want to keep these a little short and sweet. We're just kind of chilling, talking, So obviously, 2 new albums have dropped recently, one being from Logic and one being from Drake, and I wanted to give you guys my thoughts and opinions off of my listen for both. The Logic album, I didn't fully finish. I think I have like 4 more songs on there, so it could get even better, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say this about the album. The album, Vinyl Days is the name of it, is actually surprisingly good. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a classic album when you compare it to Under Pressure by him. I think was his best, and was a really big shock to me at how much I really enjoyed and liked that album. There was a lot of good storytelling, and it seems like Logic doesn't really like write a verse that I recite word for word much. There's not too many of those anyway. I think the last new song that I really studied and tried to learn word for word was what was the first song off of the Off Season? This Too Easy For Me Now. 95 South. That was the last one I like listened to over and over and like looked up the lyrics to try to learn and whatnot. That was the last song I did. Not even anything off Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Also because when I listen to Kendrick's albums, I don't even be trying to remember the words. I literally just be trying to find hidden meanings in all the words. So rather than memorizing the words, I'm trying to like look under the surface and find out themes and complexities in it. So, but yeah. So the Vinyl Days album, really good stuff. and the beats were pretty good. A lot of like whoever produced it. I did see DJ Premier produce one of the songs on there, and I listened to it and it was really 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 freaking good. His song with Russ was the single he dropped earlier. I can't even remember what it's called, but that wasn't too bad. The beat was pretty nice on that one as well. Russ to me delivers really like average verses. They're nothing bad, they're nothing trash, but they're also nothing like godlike or life changing or like, oh, he's shaking up the game. Like, it's not really any of that. However, I do still enjoy it, and I think it's just a cool little listen. I don't think there was any songs I would probably add on to like my playlist, because I do still have a playlist of the goated rap songs that to me like deserve to be on that list forever, that I'll listen to forever. So I don't know. It's kind of tough. Maybe a second listen, it'll grow on me some more, as a lot of other albums have, especially J. Cole being the biggest example of that, where when I first listened to J. Cole's albums, I just wasn't really impressed, and then the more I listened to them, the more I fell in love with them, and then, like, you know, the more respect I had and the more I wanted a lot of his songs on my playlist. So, I don't know, kind of an interesting album. I highly recommend any of you guys to go and listen to it and give it a shot, because it is a lot better than, I mean, almost anything is better than Jack Harlow's album, because that one was so mid. But to me, this album is a little bit of return to form. He sounds a little bit tighter on a lot of the songs, and like I said, a lot of the beats and sounds that they use are really good. Just a solid. I'd probably give it like a 7.5, maybe, or maybe an 8 on the album. It's just the whole time it was just good. I did really appreciate that he had bars about Anthony Fantano, who I've been getting super duper into this past year. I'm glad he was rapping about like when he first heard Anthony's review, he hated him, but then over time, you know, I guess they had a phone conversation one day, and he was like, "No, like you deserve to be here. You know, you're a star and whatnot." But it's, you know, it's just Anthony Fantano's job to review music and be honest. And it was cool to hear him talk about that, because he's more just talking to like, it's kind of like a moment where he's talking about him taking criticism, and how initially, you know, you got to be defensive of your art and your craft, but then over time, you know, you start to come around and realize that it can actually help make you better. And especially it being Fantano, who is a YouTuber I really really enjoy, it was cool there. He did sample Nardwuar on there as well, which was awesome. You know, when you hear the "Thanks Logic from British Columbia, Canada," do 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 do, you know, and all that crap. Like he samples it and like loops it and stuff like that. I don't remember him making a full song out of the sample. I think it's just kind of like a skit, but it was still cool to hear his voice on there. You know, like I love Nardwuar to death, so that was cool. You know, cool little Easter eggs in there, because Logic has 2 interviews with Fantano now, and obviously he's done plenty of Nardwuar interviews. So giving them kind of like the newer media, I would say. Well, I guess Nardwuar isn't really newer, but kind of like the future of media and music, giving them shout outs and places on projects, I think is really dope. And I hope more artists start kind of, I don't know, maybe sending their music to Fantano, like early production, and getting some feedback, and also getting feedback in general. But I also understand that a lot of artists they have a very specific thing in mind they want to do, and a sound they want to create, and a message they want to deliver, and they'd rather it not be an album that's changed by other people's opinions but their own views. So I respect that as well. But yeah, overall, 7 out of 5 to 8 on that album. And then obviously we have to talk about the next freaking album, which was Drake's Honestly Nevermind, which dropped midnight on one of the best days of my life, and we'll get into that in the next topic. But the album Honestly Nevermind is a really interesting one, because Drake like announced it randomly, like nobody was ready for that. Just boom, an album's dropping at midnight. And then when we pulled it up on Apple Music, my girl and I, when we were looking at it, it said like, you know, his other albums are like hip hop R&B or hip hop rap or whatever, but this one said dance, and we were like, what? Okay, I don't know, cause Drake doing a dance album, that sounds a little buns. My expectations were pretty low, hers were high, and then after I thought about it and hearing her reasons, mine also became high as well, because it's Drake. You know, he's like one of the goats of the generation. So every time you drop something, it needs to be, you know, you're being held accountable and being held in that light. So I know a lot of people don't like the Honestly Nevermind album. I know for a lot of people it's, you know, it's not his traditional stuff. It's not really rap, you know, it's like what house music and EDM and dance music and whatnot. But, you know, I got to be honest with you guys. I freaking love the album, man. I don't freaking care, bro. That album was fire. I had so much fun listening to it. I think people going into it, I think a lot of people are going to be like, well, what the heck, Drake? What is this? Like, why are you doing this sound? Like, it's a bunch of really repetitive beat loops over Drake singing in auto-tune, and, you know, he's singing about the same old heartbreak stuff and da-da-da. Bro, I freaking love house, EDM, dance, like, all that crap. Like, I'm talking, like, Eiffel 65. Like, you listen to the song Europop and Blue Dabba. Well, Blue Dabba a little bit less, so more Europop. But, like, Eiffel 65 and, oh my god, Aqua and so many other, like, groups like that and creators that I really enjoy, like, their music and those beats. Like, even my uncle used to make beats that sounded almost exactly like those instrumentals, and I used to listen to his CD over and over and over again. So when I hear those beats, like, it takes me back to being a kid and really getting into music. Like, I started getting into music with Daft Punk and a lot of other electronic sounds and synths. So when I heard that Drake's beat selection on here was pretty good, except for one song, the song where he sampled the bed squeaking sound from, oh my god, that one popular song. The what it is, what's na, na, na. You know what I'm talking about? You guys, I don't know. If you guys hear it, then you guys know what I'm talking about. But other than that song, it was all extremely freaking good. I don't know. I enjoyed it. A lot of people don't like it. Like, if you guys remember Devin and Brandon, who were here on the last podcast episode, Devin's a mega Drake fan. Didn't like the album other than the very last song. Brandon hated the whole thing. Big surprise there. He never likes anything Drake does. But to me, it was such a refreshing thing. Because going into the album, I'm sitting there thinking, like, I hope Drake doesn't just spit a bunch of stupid bars. Because, like, for me, CLB wasn't that great. Like, Devin really loved CLB. It really grew on him. It still didn't grow on me like I thought maybe it could have. Maybe I can give it another listen through. But I don't know. I'm just kind of not into much other than, like, 2 songs off that album. But I don't know. I was like, great. Like, Drake's going to come on here, spit a bunch of generic bars. I was expecting maybe it was going to be like a rap album where he's probably going to make a hot sauce in the condom bar. Like, you know, that whole fiasco he had and whatnot. Like, I didn't want to come and hear a bunch of mediocre bars from Drake over the same old beats that we've heard. So hearing this was like hearing him try something and like knowing that he is one of the most popular rappers, and any rap album he puts out is going to get like millions of plays and streams and so much love, and you know it's going to go crazy no matter what. But knowing that and deciding, you know what, I'm going to take a risk and I'm going to try something new. Like, Drake has never really done that kind of stuff. And if you think about it, I mean, a lot of our favorite rappers or celebrities and whatnot really enjoy that music too. Like, for NBA fans who really like Shaq, or like Shaq's one of the most dominant players of all time. Yeah, but he's also a DJ, and he DJs like raves, like crazy, like freaking music. You know, he's a big fan of that music. And then there's a lot of other like artists who are involved in that scene and whatnot. And so it is kind of interwoven in a lot of different cultures that I think kind of flies under the radar. But I really enjoyed it, and I think it's great that Drake is doing something new and attempting something different. That's the biggest thing I think artists need to do, because for myself and my girl, we were talking about it, it almost sounds like J. Cole is kind of like becoming uninterested or maybe a little unmotivated or just has writer's block right now in terms of rap. And off of the last, the D-Day mixtape or whatever it was, the first song he did on there, what was it? I don't remember the name, but it was the first song he had on there that sounded so uninteresting to me, and I just did not enjoy it at all. And then the last song he had on there was pretty dope. I don't even remember what it was called. But, yeah, he's something very, you know, kind of, J. Cole is kind of fallen out or has delivered some mid or kind of disappointing stuff. Kendrick obviously doesn't drop anything unless he has something to say, so nothing Kendrick drops is ever bad. He only drops fire because he only speaks when he's ready to, and I think that's a big thing. So for Drake who amongst them drops the most music and is the most consistently like putting stuff out and doing collabs and saving songs, it's nice to hear him do something different and think outside the box and dip his toes into another genre, kind of crossing. And I think it sounds good. I think his auto-tune singing and voice and what he's singing about mixes really well with the beats that they used. and the production. It just all comes together really well and makes like really head bopping music. I think the album will age well for me. I don't know how many times I'm gonna go back and listen to it front to back, but there is some pretty good continuity between the songs. Like obviously the beats will fade into the next song and whatnot that I really enjoyed. But for me, the first song was really 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 good. Obviously not the intro. Like the intro was fine, but the first actual song on the album was fantastic. And then of course the last song on the album, you get that like traditional rap song. It's him and 21 with a fire beat. I think Drake's verse was dope. I really like Drake's verse when he was talking about the Met Gala. I like the bars he had about that. 21 was cool. Nothing to me, like 21 didn't do anything that he did on like My Life when he was on the off season. It wasn't anything like where I heard it and I was like, oh my god. But I heard 21, I was like, oh okay, cool. You know, and it was cool. It's a cool little verse. But all in all, the album to me right now was probably like an 8.5. I was thinking about giving it a 9 or so because I really enjoyed it that much. But it's a very short album and it's not it. Even though the idea itself of doing this EDM type album or this dance album is already like very risky, the after you get past the fact that he decided to do it, the actual in terms of it being an actual like compared to other dance music, it does play it very safe. I feel like there's not too many like beat switches or like crazy amounts of things going on. It almost didn't need to. I actually almost like the simplicity to a certain extent where it's just a constant beat and you just hear Drake singing and, you know, doing all these like little vocal runs and whatnot. And Drake isn't even a really crazy singer. Like I wouldn't go to a Drake concert if he was just going to stand there and sing. But to the same extent, like when you hear him sing like that, it almost takes you back to those days when we were all like little kids and Drake was coming out and he's like singing and we're all like in our feelings because we're all in like middle school getting our hearts broken, so then we put on some Drake sad music and go through the feelings and through all those stages. So it was nostalgic as well. I mean, I'm sure if I was a super intense Drake fan as well, I probably would have been. It probably would hit me even more. But still, I mean, just like stop. I feel like going into that album expecting it to be comparing it to Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers or whatever you want to do. Like, don't do it like that. Just go in, just like, okay, you know, this is a dance album. What can Drake do with this? And like, have fun with it. Like, actually try to have fun with it. Don't sit there and critically analyze bars and lines. I mean, you can if that's your thing, but I think this album is best when you just go in like, you know what, I'm just gonna bop to it, you know, just go. Especially recommend if you have a car with a nice sound system. Probably driving around at night bumping that would probably also increase it. Maybe you drive around the city or whatever. That could also add a layer of greatness, especially if you have a Tesla. Dawn, I'm telling you, drive around at night in your Tezzy listening to that. And I don't know, or bring me with you. I'll make it fun. Like, I don't know. I was just having a ball. I was at work and I was just like bopping around, kind of dancing, doing my thing. I don't know. It's just an album that's just meant to be fun. And I'm very, very, very glad and appreciative that he did give us this. I feel like it was necessary to kind of shake up the game and kind of, you know, make it so it's not like, I feel like every album we got this year and the last year, kind of with the exception of Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, but also that one can kind of fall into this. I feel like we already know what to expect when somebody announces, I'm dropping an album. We're like, okay, it's this artist. They're going to sound like this. They're going to do this. And there are times where we're surprised, for example, like on My Life, when I was listening to the off season, obviously 95 South, I was like, yep, J. Cole bars. Like, we already know it's coming. But when I heard My Life and you hear all of this, like, the singing and the frickin', God, what's the name? What's the name of the dude from My Life? Murray hitting those crazy vocals. J. Cole just like kind of, yeah, you know, just all the energy he brings in. 21 just sliding out of nowhere with his little like low-key monotone energy. But like, I had a good heart, so I sent teddy bears every time we make the mommy cry. I was like, oh, this is a 21 thing to do. But it's like, moments like that hit because it's so like, you know, you hear J. Cole, you're like, yeah, okay, he's gonna rap, have bars over a beat. We already know. But when you hear something like that where it's like, it's funny because the song My Life almost reminds me of Can't Hold Us by Macklemore, where it's like, I mean, they don't sound the same, but I'm just saying, like, you know, you got a rapper just kind of rapping, and then you got this beautiful singer with a very certain voice that's just kind of like, you know, killing their notes and killing their parts, and especially being a throwback to, I can't even remember the name of the original song where they got that chorus from, but that's also really fire. So yeah, just go enjoy. I'm sure a lot of my friends who really like Drake and whatnot are enjoying this, like my dancer friends. And that's another thing I want to ask to anybody watching this who's a dancer. I'm talking about Eddie, X, freaking Isaac, like all you people who dance and are really into dance music or dancers. What did you guys think of the album when you guys listened to it? Did it kind of make you move a little bit? Were you kind of feeling it? I have a feeling that Eddie's just going to make a whole bunch of TikToks and reels about this album out of a lot of the songs. Wow, my words are killing me right now. I am not winning this fight. But yeah, go in, listen to the album, just enjoy it. Stop being so serious. Just relax for a second. Like, let Drake do something new and just have fun. You can tell he's just having fun and just kind of in his bag. So go on, Drake. I appreciate you. Keep making great music. Let's go. And then obviously, the last thing I'm going to talk about, the biggest thing happening in my area, and for me as a basketball fan, the freaking Golden State Warriors won the 2022 NBA championship, beating the Celtics in Game 6 off of a great performance from Steph, Draymond, not so much Clay, and a little bit of everybody else chipped in. But listen, woo! It was quite a freaking game, and it was quite an experience watching the game. It was me, my lady, my dad, my brothers, just sitting watching the game. And it was so amazing because we all have a love for the Warriors and for basketball in general. And obviously that's our team. It's been our team for the longest time. And when I think back to the earliest days of me being a Warriors fan, I was probably like 8 years old. And watching Jason Richardson's dunk contest, I believe that was 08 or 09. I could be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was around then. Because I remember he had like the shiny navy blue jersey at the time, and those are sick. Watching his dunk contest and watching Baron Davis dunk on that one dude during the We Believe season was insanity. And that really made me start getting into basketball. And that's around the time where I got NBA Street Volume 1 and 2 on my GameCube. So I started playing as the Warriors players and also starting to understand the game of basketball more and how it's played. So when I would watch it, I would start understanding it. So I was really getting into being a Warriors fan and watching all that. And then you know, in my earlier teen years, that's when I literally remember the exact house and place I was standing when my dad and I were talking about Monte Ellis getting traded for Bogut and stuff like that. Like that trade where they were basically saying we're departing from Monte, who was arguably our best player at the time, for Steph because we think we're going to be able to build something around him, and how crazy that was. Even though Steph was great. Steph was like second in Rookie of the Year voting. Obviously behind Blake Griffin just because he could jump, so that's more flashy. But I think obviously you look now and it's not even close. That's way freaking better than Blake Griffin. I wouldn't even say Blake Griffin's like top 10 or 15 in power forwards. Maybe he is, but to me, like, what has he really done? He has some dunk contest wins. That's all he's done. No rings, no MVPs. He has Rookie of the Year and a dunk and like a couple dunk contests. Great. You know, you never led a team anywhere crazy. Like, you've never been the best player on your team, except maybe the Pistons. But anyway. So, and then I saw basically from, let's see, that trade happened like 2012, I want to say, 2012, 2013, around there. So from then, when I was, because I was, I was born in 2000, so every year it is, that's the year I am. So going from 13 to 22 or whatever, okay, no, it was 2012 because they were talking about, like, we've been to get, like, Draymond and them have been together for 10 years. So 2012 to now, so a decade of my life, I've been growing up watching Steph and the Warriors become the greatest, one of the greatest teams of all time, one of the greatest franchise runs of all time, like, all these different things. And watching them win this ring was, like, such a full circle moment because it went from the We Believe to being kind of mediocre again. And then, you know, we get Steph and we draft Draymond and Clay and Harrison Barnes and Festus Ezeli, and we get Spates. We have Jarrett Jack. We have Carl Landry. We get Bogut. You know, We have, we also have other people like Nemanja Nedovic. We had Seth Curry for a freaking second until he started really balling out on other teams. So shout out to Seth for going out and doing his thing and earning his money. Where I think he's on Brooklyn right now. Like all these different players. Like I've seen so many different players come through, and like winning that ring made me look back at the journey it took to get there, and it's like so amazing, and I feel so blessed and lucky to have been able to grow up where my team is like on a dynasty run. We have the best point guard of all time. If people prefer Magic over Steph, whatever, I'm not gonna get mad at you. I'm not even gonna sit here and try to convince you Steph's better. It's a personal preference thing. I would take Steph every time, but that's just me. And so it's just amazing to see that. We don't get to, a lot of people don't get to ever see their team do good. Like you think about Timberwolves fans have had to deal with, they got Kevin Garnett, which was great. They did get to experience Kevin Garnett and Kevin Love, but those teams didn't really go anywhere. They got to experience those players, not the team success. So they've been mediocre forever, which sucks. But yeah, it's been an amazing run. I owe so many memories to Steph Curry, like just me watching basketball and enjoying basketball. Like I remember getting Curry 1s, Curry 2.5s because I didn't get the 2s. Thinking about Curry 3s, but that's when his shoes became too tight for me. All the moments of like watching Clay with his 37-point quarter, watching Draymond get a triple-double without the points, which could have been a quadruple-double, which is crazy. He was just 6 points away. All these different memories, like basketball history, Steph breaking the 3-point record this season, him getting 2 scoring titles, 2 MVPs, like all these things, you think about everything they've done, and it makes me so appreciative that I've gotten to watch this, because this is historic stuff. Like, this is like, when Bulls fans were growing up watching Jordan, I'm getting that feeling growing up a Warriors fan watching Steph turn a franchise around and be amazing and be one of the best. And now I'm starting to see the NBA media just give Steph so much love and finally giving him his flowers. And he's also getting the LeBron disrespect. So it's like people are loving him the way a lot of people love and appreciate LeBron. But of course, there's people who still don't think of Steph like that, the way they don't think of LeBron like that. So it's whatever. And then, of course, seeing Boston making them eat their words with Aisha can't cook. And then, obviously Curry wore the shirt and whatnot. And them like yelling "F you, Draymond" in bars where he can't even hear them, and they still end up losing. Like, it must be tough to be in Boston right now. They must be so freaking livid, especially if you're a Warriors fan walking around Boston. You'll probably get shot. But what an amazing season, and I think we have enough fire and enough fuel to go one more time. I think we're gonna win one more ring, and at that point, that would be freaking crazy because Steph, Clay, and Draymond. And if we have Iguodala when we do that, would all have more rings than LeBron. That would be so crazy, bro. I think they'd have the same amount of rings as Tim Duncan. Maybe I think how many Kareem has what? How many rings does Kareem have? He's one with Milwaukee. Like, well, if Magic had 5 on LA, okay, Kareem probably has like 6 then. Yeah, he has 6. So anyway. They have to be in that conversation amongst those other dudes, So I think we have enough fuel for a 5th, and I mean, if we get a 5th, it's so undebatable, like how Steph is literally the best point guard and is for sure in the top 10. It's not even up for debate. Like, we already know that. So I can't wait to see that. But I mean, it's just amazing. I'm sure a lot of us Warriors fans watching this 4th one, it just really hit close to home. I know some people are trying to diminish or trying to make it seem like it's less impressive that the Warriors beat the Celtics because of how bad they played, but it's not like the Celtics were going to play that bad anyway. Like, it wasn't like, yeah, the Celtics are going to come in, they're going to get turnovers no matter how great we play. No, like the Warriors defense and game plan, we've been to the finals and won championships and played hard teams before. Like, we know how to defend and what to do here. And our young guys were amazing throughout the year. And Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown just weren't ready for that. Or maybe they were gassed. Maybe going to 2 Game 7s the previous 2 series against Giannis and like Jimmy Butler wore them the freaking heck out. Because, I mean, we won ours quickly. We were like, okay, we're done. Well, we'll see y'all. We'll see y'all later. But then, they smacked us Game 1 on a crazy comeback because everybody wanted to have a career night that day. So, whatever. But it's just amazing. This was probably the best championship we've won so far, at least the best feeling one. And I enjoyed it so much. And I hope all of you guys got to enjoy it, got to watch it live and cheer and get excited. And, you know, when you lay in your bed before you go to sleep, you just sit there and think about it like, oh my God, they won. Then the next day you're walking around like the Warriors literally won again. So it was amazing. Go on, Warriors. I freaking love just basketball, man. It's so amazing. Also, real quick, I highly recommend anybody who's a fan of basketball, but even if you're like not a Warriors fan or whatever, go see or go watch the Draymond Green show on the YouTube channel, The Volume. I was listening to a lot of his interviews and episodes. I mean, okay, so obviously the episode he made after, like, literally after winning the ring, he went in the finals media room and did his podcast episode, which was fire. That is so freaking crazy and lit. Like, nobody else has done that before. But also just his other interviews with other players and whatnot. It's really interesting stuff, and I like the way Draymond talks. You'll notice in, like, all of his interviews, he'll say, like, what is he always, he says, like, the fact of the matter is, or, like, something like that, and then, like, he always says, like, wow, that's interesting. Like, he says it every interview at some point. So it's really funny that he says all that stuff. But yeah, go watch that, especially if you're a Warriors fan and you haven't been. Go support our guy, you know? He's killing it. He's doing his thing. And I think it's crazy how we were able to get an in-depth player's like reaction and look into how he was feeling after every single finals game. Like that's so cool. I hope because I mean, obviously post-game interviews are cool, but that's very formal and you can't speak a certain way, and you know, it's the media asking you questions. They're usually there to stir controversy or whatever. But, like, the Draymond, it's just him talking about the game and also, like, giving flowers to the other team. Like, he kept saying, like, you know, guys, you know, the new media, we give them flowers. You know, stuff like that. So, it's good to hear that he wasn't, like, sitting there like, the Celtics are trash. I don't know how they won that game. You know, he's like, no, they played well. We got to play better. So, it's great. Anyway, that's going to do it for the podcast. I know this one's short-ish for a podcast for sure. But I just want to come on here, talk to you guys for a little bit. I, of course, have some videos coming up for you. So stay tuned for that. I really appreciate all the love and support on that last video, the zombies video. Again, you guys are amazing and killing it. I love it so much. It's actually my most viewed video, and I didn't even expect it to get like over 50 views, and it's sitting at like over 200. So I really appreciate you guys. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. It's been nothing but love. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.